Me and my girlfriend Jasmine have been planning and saving for over a year to go on the trip of a lifetime across Southeast Asia. After lots of hard research, our plan is to start in Bangkok, Thailand and work our way around 11 different countries until we reach our final destination, Beijing, China. We'll be catching flights, buses, boats and any other means of transport as we explore new cultures, go on epic adventures and pick up memories that we hope will last a lifetime. We'll be recording as much of our trip as we can using our cameras, GoPros, iPhones and drone. There's a few big questions we need to answer. Will we handle almost 5 months of travelling together? Will we run out of money? Can Southeast Asia handle the female version of Cole Pilkington? Fasten your seatbelts. Prepare for a bumpy ride. This is our adventure. This is Bangkok to Beijing. Previously on Bangkok to Beijing, we moved across the border from Thailand to Laos and started in the capital city of Vientiane. We then took a bumpy 4-hour journey north to Vang Vieng, the adventure capital of Laos, where we experienced some awesome activities. Our final stop in Laos was the ancient capital, Luang Prabang, a UNESCO World Heritage Centre, where we made an unforgettable trip to the Quang Si Falls. After that, we flew into Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, for the Tet New Year, before a cruise and overnight island stay in Ha Long Bay. We then moved south through the cities of Da Nang, Hoi An, Nha Trang and Mune, where we had issues with the sleeper buses. Our last stop in Vietnam was Ho Chi Minh City, formerly known as Saigon, where we visited the Mekong Delta and found out some hard-hitting truths about the Vietnam War. We then flew to Cambodia and the town of Siem Reap to explore the unbelievable Angkor Wat, one of the world's biggest temple complexes. Our final leg was a 3-night trip to officially the world's most expensive city, Singapore, where we took in the views and had fun at the Universal theme park.
Good girl.
We continue the journey flying from Singapore to the Philippines, where we'll spend a whole month exploring many islands, starting in the paradise island of Boracay, before heading on to Bohol. Next it's the majestic island of Siquijor, Apo, Cebu, and then we head west to the island of Palawan, where we visit El Nido and finally end in Coron. We left Kalibo Airport and took a 2-hour minibus to the Caticlan Jetty Port, the gateway to Boracay. Boracay is an island, so the only way to get there is via boat. Boracay made the world news last year when the government announced it would be closed for 6 months as part of the island's environmental rehabilitation. A local governor actually described Boracay as a cesspit, with stories of raw sewage, illegally constructed buildings and waste problems. We arrived just a few months after it reopened, where there were strict new measures including a limit on tourists and a number of new rules. After arriving, we had an early night and woke the following day interested to see if Boracay was still a dump or was it a paradise.
Thank you. Just got down to the beach here in Boracay and it is the stuff of dreams. The powderiest white sand ever. Little fishes here in the sea. Beautiful palm trees. This is by far the best beach. I'm absolutely amazed. Are you? How can you not be? Look at this place. Wow. We're just sat on Boracay Beach trying to get a time lapse. I've tried with my GoPro, Jazz has tried with her phone, I'm trying with my phone. And the logistics of getting one here is nigh on impossible. If I flip the camera around now, that's literally everybody stood in the way. The crazy thing is, about an hour ago, none of these people were here. I think like the Asians get from behind the palm trees where they don't want to get sunburned, and then just come and ruin everyone's time lapses. Yeah, they lurk all day and then pounce on the poor people like me and Jazz trying to get time lapses, but never mind.
What an amazing day we had. Although it got a little bit crowded for sunset, the beach at Boracay was nothing short of spectacular, and easily the best beach we'd ever seen before. The following day we jumped in a tuk-tuk and ventured to Tambasan Beach on the other side of Boracay. Tambasan is a well-known snorkeling location. Unfortunately, the sea was a little too rough, making for poor visibility. We still had a great day taking in the sun, and apart from a few local kids, we had the beach to ourselves for the entire day. After 3 blissful days easing into Filipino life in Boracay, it was time to head to the airport, which actually turned out to be the smallest airport of our entire trip. Our destination was Bohol, an island known for coral reefs, wildlife and unusual geological formations, notably the Chocolate Hills. The journey to Bohol looked a quick and painless one on paper, but actually it wasn't quite so simple.
It's our first full day here in Alona Beach, which is in the island of Bohol. We had a mad day travelling here yesterday. We went from a trike to a ferry to a trike to a bus to a plane to a taxi to a ferry to a trike to here. Yeah, it was a long day. What was originally a 45-minute flight and then a 2-hour ferry actually took the whole day. We've got all the waiting bits in between, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, but we're here. The weather today has been rubbish. It's been raining most of the morning, and I think I might stand corrected. That's the first rain we've had in probably 5 or 6 weeks, maybe longer. So today we've been shopping. We bought some food. I've just cooked us some beans on toast. I think we're missing a few home delicacies. So I've cooked the Filipino version of that. Wasn't too bad. The dairy products are nothing like back home. It's a shame. The little apartment we're in, it's got cooking facilities, which is like the first place we've stayed with a bit more space. It's got a kitchen, separate bathroom, double beds. It's really cool. So we're having a chill out day today. Tonight we're cooking spag bowl, and we're just going to be watching films and having a day chilling out. We've got a few busy days ahead, so I think chilling in the villa, if you can call it a villa. Would you call it a villa? A bungalow, chilling in our chalet. So we were up at 5 o'clock this morning. Jazz just brushing her teeth. We've got the trike driver that we saw yesterday. He's picked us up, bless him. Today we're doing a tour where we're hopefully going to see some dolphins, do a bit of snorkeling and see a couple of cool islands. So let's hope the early get up was worth it.
So on the first part of the trip, we were heading to find dolphins, and after the captain pulled off some mad boat skills, we managed to get a few glimpses. To be honest, the dolphins didn't hang around, so we headed to the nearby Balikasag Island, a well-known marine sanctuary perfect for snorkeling, and maybe the chance to spot a turtle. Oh, and a puppy. sea life and coral reef was mind-blowing, and if snorkeling wasn't our new favourite hobby yet, it was soon to become it after there were rumours of turtles out in the deep water. We were ecstatic after seeing and swimming with turtles for the first time as we headed to the final stop on the trip, Virgin Island, a secluded sandbar out in the warm Pacific Ocean.
So first of all, we saw the dolphins this morning. Not for long, we managed to catch a glimpse. Still pretty cool though. And then we went over to the island there, I can't remember the name, and we swam with turtles, which was amazing. There was 3 of them, and I think we were like one of the first boats to spot them, and it was awesome, absolutely amazing. Huge turtles. The water was so clear as well. Really, really good. And then we've come here to Virgin Island, which is basically just a sandbank out in the middle of the sea, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, sorry Jazz. She just went for a wee in the sea, by the way, and she left me to look after her bag. But the tide's come in and I've been flying my drone, so the bag got a little bit wet and she's not happy. She's gone for a little walk of solitude up the beach. Sorry, I am genuinely sorry, like, it was an honest mistake. Cut it open and get a spoon.
No, just like that.
The following day, our newly found Filipino friend Dennis drove us to one of Bohol's main attractions, the Chocolate Hills. But first we stopped to see the tarsier, a very rare mammal belonging to the primate family. This unusual creature is endangered and only found on a few specific islands in Southeast Asia. Tarsiers are nocturnal and are highly sensitive to light and sound. Did you know? They have the largest eyes compared to body size of all mammals. To be honest, neither did I until I looked on Wikipedia for facts to throw on this voiceover. After an hour spotting tarsiers, it was back on the road to the Chocolate Hills, where our driver Dennis suggested the best way to see the hills was on a quad bike trek. Now let's get one thing straight, me and Jazz used to love quadding. We've done it through the sand dunes in Egypt and many times in the UK. However, this time was going to be a little bit different.
You're right. Stay there, stay there. Are you okay? Oh my god. Yeah, he's alright, he's alright. So it didn't fall on you, so you...
No, I thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, well you
I just went like that and I thought, oh shit.
it was really slow motion. Oh, you're right.
Unfortunately, the health and safety standards weren't quite up to scratch and the chassis was on its last legs. I hit a pothole and the wheels completely buckled, sending me flying over the handlebars, which obviously Jazz thought was hilarious. Apart from a few cuts and bruises, there was no harm done, so we grabbed new quads and continued on. The kid who worked there took some pretty bizarre and quite unnecessary photos to try and make up for the dodgy quad. All in all, we probably won't be doing quadding again in the Philippines anytime soon, but we were happy to finally reach the Chocolate Hills.
Hard work when you just almost killed yourself quadding.
The Chocolate Hills are a geological formation with as many as 1,700 hills spread over an area of 50 kilometres. The hills get their chocolate name from the grass, which turns brown during the dry season, giving the appearance of chocolate. The day trip to the Tajes and Chocolate Hills were a great end to our 3-night stay in Bohol, an island with diverse landscapes and many things to do. Our next destination in the Philippines was the majestic island of Siquijor, known for its witchcraft and faith healers. The journey to Siquijor from Bohol involved an easy 1.5-hour ferry. We then jumped onto a trike to our accommodation, which turned out to be in an epic beachfront location. Okay, we've just got to Siquijor, and it was a bit of a mission from the port on the trike, but we're here. And this is the first time we've actually stayed in an Airbnb since we've been travelling. And to be fair, I think we've dropped onto a nice one here. The location sells it, so this is obviously the room, a couple of beds. But yeah, let's take a look at the view. We spent the rest of the day drinking San Miguel, the Philippines' favourite beer, whilst watching the beautiful sunset straight from our room. Today we're going scootering around Siquijor. We're going to explore all the way around. So there's a road called the Circumferential Road, which goes all the way in a big circle around, and on the way we're going to be seeing some waterfalls, some epic beaches, and going to really investigate if Siquijor is spooky and haunted and the people are that much into witchcraft, which we are told via Google and other sources. A lot of Filipinos won't actually come to Siquijor because they think that it's, you know, some foul play with witchcraft and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's go and find out. Oh yeah, we hired scooters yesterday for the first time since we've been on our trip, hence the helmet. Pretty epic. Yeah, we got to grips with the scooters. It's absolutely easy to ride. Obviously everyone warns you to be careful, and so many Brits are killed abroad and stuff, so we've been taking it steady, but looking forward to exploring today. Let's go. Our first stop was at one of Siquijor's many extraordinary waterfalls, the name of which I'll leave to our legendary little mate. What's the name of this waterfall?
It's Lugnason Falls.
Lugnason Falls. The waterfalls throughout the Philippines are typically surrounded by breathtaking jungles and are perfect for jumping in and swimming. Our next stop was the old enchanted Belletti tree. This 400-year-old tree has a fresh water spring that originates beneath its roots, straight into the pool below, which incidentally is full of them fish barfish, which eat the dead skin off your feet.
Too many big ones. Did you get that?
What's your tip for visiting here?
Bring some bread.
If you've been to a fish bar, you'll know what the feeling's like. Personally, not my thing, but hey ho. With our newfound sacred powers from the ancient tree, we headed back on the Siquijor ring road and stumbled across the secret Lagan waterfall, which has a naturally formed rock slide, rope swings and refreshingly cool water. We stumbled on this place by accident, but it turned out to be our favourite waterfall in Siquijor. Fucking really hurt. Biggest belly flop since bellies were flopping. Jesus Christ. Ouch. Our last waterfall stop of the day was the Cambugahay waterfalls. This is Siquijor's most popular set of waterfalls, and looking back at the lush blue pools of water, you can certainly see why. At this point the daylight was closing in on us, so we hopped back on the road to head to our final destination, Salagduong Beach, Siquijor's #1 cliff jumping spot. Unfortunately, there was no way I was going to jump off the 65-foot cliff, and Jazz isn't known for her diving skills either, so we left it to the pros.
You gonna do it?
Let's just say she wasn't scared of it.
Been a crazy day. I'm actually quite tired now. I've been driving most of the day and stopping off at all the waterfalls. We're here at Salagduong Beach, which is famous for the cliff jumping, which you obviously didn't see me or Jazz doing. Jazz is an obvious one. She doesn't like jumping, but that's way too high. No way, Jose. I think we're going to head back now. But yeah, these are our beasts. Honda Beat, they're called. Jazz got a nice pink one to match her outfit with a little purple helmet. I've got this red beast. Let's have a look.
We headed back to the room and unfortunately ran out of daylight, meaning we had a tough 2-hour journey back through the mountains in the pitch black. Our time in Siquijor came to an end as we spent our last day chilling out, getting washing done and a few other travelling chores. We absolutely loved this island, which felt like a real adventure, and although we didn't find anything spooky along the way, we were left with a magical sunset, which was by far the best sunset we'd had throughout our Bangkok to Beijing trip. So it was time to move on to the next destination. After being hooked on snorkeling from our turtle experience in Bohol, we wanted to get back out in the water as soon as possible and found out there was a small island called Apo Island just off the coast of Dumaguete. We jumped on the ferry to the city of Dumaguete, checked into our hotel and mapped out our route to Apo Island. You know, I actually managed to bag a haircut in Dumaguete for 40 pesos, which was the equivalent of 50p. Anyway, the trip to Apo Island involved a simple 30-minute bus and then a very choppy small boat across. Now, Apo translated to English simply means turtle. We were literally going to Turtle Island. Can you imagine how excited Jazz was? Apo Island is a protected marine sanctuary where turtles can feed, breed and live without fear of poaching or fishing. For a small entry fee, you can go to the island and try and spot turtles just off the shore. By the way, if you can spot lots of flapping in the background, well, not only did we manage to spot a turtle within minutes of being in the water, we also spotted a banded sea crate, also known as a big scary poisonous sea snake. Actually, they're one of the most venomous creatures in the world, and the venom is 10 times more powerful than a rattlesnake. Anyway, after some underwater snake whispering, we cracked on with the turtle watching and spent most of the afternoon swimming with these magnificent creatures. It seemed that every single turtle was spotted by Jazz. For some reason she had a real knack for it. So if you hear me refer to the turtle spotter any time in the future, you now know who I'm talking about. All in all, we saw 5 to 6 different turtles, which made the trip to Apo Island completely worth it, and one we'll certainly never forget. We continued our trip around the Philippines by boarding a ferry back to the island of Cebu, where our next destination was the town of Oslob. We were used to the odd choppy ferry here and there, but the ferry from Dumaguete to Cebu required next level sea legs. We eventually arrived on dry land and made use of the very cheap and convenient Ceres bus service, which can get you practically anywhere on the island of Cebu. We arrived in Oslob and got an early night ready for the exciting main activity we went there for.
So yesterday we left Dumaguete and made our way over to Oslob, and this morning we're up quite early. We got up at 5:30, it's now about 6 o'clock, so we're running a little bit late, but we're off to do the whale shark watching, which is something that we've always wanted to do since we've come to the Philippines. It's like one of the main touristy things to do here. So yeah, looking forward to it. A lot of people have said online that it can be classed as, you know, not very good for the whale sharks, and it's debatable if it's actually protecting them or damaging them. So I guess we'll make that judgment for ourselves. But yeah, looking forward to it. So hopefully it's going to be good. Let's go.
The process of seeing the whale sharks is simple. You pay for your ticket, get a number, and wait until your number's called out. You then get rowed out to sea, and when the man gives you the nod, you jump in the water with your mask and snorkel and marvel at these incredible creatures. Whale sharks are actually the world's biggest fish and can grow up to 40 feet long and weigh on average 20 tons. As the first person in the water, Jazz was a little bit shocked as she looked down. Now, we can't deny we love seeing and swimming with the giant whale sharks, but please don't be fooled by the dreamy upbeat music and GoPro footage. Unfortunately, it's not quite what it's made out to be.
Okay, we just got back from the whale shark snorkeling trip, and I'd love to be able to tell you that it was amazing and a life-changing experience, but it wasn't. Quite frankly, it was absolutely awful. Just frustrating. It was probably one of the most infuriating things I've done on this whole trip. You have to sit around and wait for your number, so bearing in mind there's thousands and thousands of people that want to go and see the whale sharks, fair enough. So you sit around for a couple of hours, you get given a number, then eventually you get called up. So you go on the boat, and on the boat there's like maybe 12, 13 people, and your boat gets basically rowed out into a massive row of maybe 20 to 25 other boats, and then all they do, a guy sat on his own boat will get the shark and just trail him up and down the line. You jump in the water, snorkel about and have a look at him, and basically they're controlling the shark with food, which is not right. It was basically a circus apart from the fact that the animal isn't protected by a cage. I know that sounds ridiculous, it's out in the open sea, but you can kick it in the head accidentally. There were people hitting it with their diving fins. There were people just being so arrogant, ignorant, and just absolute dickheads about it. We were, unfortunately for us, on a group with a load of Russian people. Most of the Russians that we tend to be on trips with and stuff, you know, tours, they're just so ignorant and they just push past. They've got no manners whatsoever. And it was the same when we were snorkeling.
to the point that a woman physically grabbed me and pushed me out of the way, which absolutely pissed me off. So yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, you got in the water and seeing the sharks was amazing, but seeing them like that wasn't amazing. It was literally one up from a circus, and there was just far too many people. You just herded along, and so are the sharks. They're just feeding them this stuff which they keep eating, and they go up and down and up and down, and honestly it was pretty dreadful. I wouldn't recommend it. To summarise the whale shark experience, it was pretty naff. It was shady on the sharks. We got pushed around by a load of Russians, and quite frankly I wouldn't recommend it if you come here. It's not great.
With a spare day in Oslob and a scooter each to ride on, we took the coastal road round to Gwynedd Falls, an epic 5-tier waterfall. Jazz wimped out from trekking to the top tier, so me and my new Filipino mates cracked on.
So yesterday we made the trip over to Moalboal, where we are today. It was pretty interesting because we'd run out of cash. We didn't quite have enough to get the bus here, which wasn't actually that expensive. But the cash machine in Oslob, where we were staying for the whale sharks, obviously had no money. So we had enough to get the first bus to Bato. From there, we asked basically the first truck driver, you know, have you got a cash point? And he said, oh, it's in the next town, 9 kilometres away. So basically he took us there on the premise that we'd give him his cash when we got to the cash point. Obviously that cash point then didn't work. So then we went on to the next town and finally we got some cash and managed to get over here. So yeah, it was a bit stressful at times, but we got here. And today we're going to go on a little mission on our scooters we hired yesterday, and there is apparently some good snorkeling.
Moalboal is a small but lively coastal town on the southwest side of Cebu. It's one of the main bases to visit the well-known Khao Falls and has incredible snorkeling literally metres from the beach, where you can experience the mesmerising sardine run. The sardine run is a natural phenomenon where millions of sardines gather together for a spectacular display.
Is it bad? I got stung by a jellyfish. At least it weren't on my head like my old man.
I like your crop top.
You like it?
Yeah. Do a little catwalk. Soon forgot about the jellyfish.
We went to a number of beaches around Moalboal, and it seems the Filipinos love their beach hut karaoke. The following morning we were up early to visit the world famous Khao Falls, a number of picturesque waterfalls and lagoons accessible by a walk through the jungle.
Nobody else,
Sand Falls really was magical. If you're ever in that neck of the woods, we recommend getting there early. It does get very busy come 10 or 11 o'clock. Our time on the island of Cebu drew to a close as we moved over to the western Filipino island of Palawan and the resort of El Nido. Travelling from the Puerto Princesa airport to El Nido requires a dreadful 4 to 5 hour minivan ride, but trust us, it's completely worth it when you get there. Good morning from El Nido. Today we're going on Tour 8, which is one of the boat tours that stops off at various places. We had a quiet couple of days because our flight got messed up, partially thanks to me, partially thanks to the airline, probably mostly thanks to me. So we're looking forward to getting back on the adventuring, exploring tours and stuff like that today. But yeah, the weather's nice. We've had some cloudy and patchy weather over the past week really, so it's nice to get back in the sun. So looking forward to it. El Nido is known for its white sand beaches, turquoise blue lagoons and steep limestone cliffs. There are a number of boat tours available and we decided to start with Tour A. After our stop at Small Lagoon, we made our way around to Secret Lagoon, which can only be accessed via a small hole in the cliff.
Oh. Yeah, let's go.
After a quick look in the Secret Lagoon, we headed to a nearby cove. The only problem was there was jellyfish literally everywhere.
Chaz is being a big baby because of all the jellyfish. So this place is called Secret Lagoon. Should be renamed to Not So Secret Lagoon. You look over there, it's literally at least 50 to 100 people trying to queue to get into that little cave. It is cool, but
we headed to another secluded beach for a barbecue lunch before making one last snorkel stop. And yet, there are 4 jellyfish in this shot, but this next guy snorkeling had no chill.
literally no fucks given.
The next day we got hold of 2 of the world's dodgiest scooters and drove around 16 kilometres north to Nakpan Beach. We really wanted to make the most of our time in El Nido and we were so glad we discovered Nakpan. This place must be in the top 10 beaches in the world. It really had everything. We spent the day swimming, snorkeling and having a few drinks at the Mad Monkey Hostel. We actually ended up staying at Natpan most of the day, and I even remembered to quickly fly the drone for a better look. Amazing day, amazing beach, and we were really falling in love with the Philippines as we headed on our final trip in El Nido. This time it was boat tour C.
Another day, another tour. Today we're doing tour C, and we ended up on the same boat as we did tour A, so it's the same boat, same crew and all that, which was alright because they were pretty good. Come to the first stop, which is Helicopter Island, and the sea is choppy as anything. Just tried to go in, the snorkeling ain't great to be honest. So back on board with Sam Nicolai. It's proper cold. Good times.
The choppy sea was causing one or two issues accessing some of the stops on the tour. At certain points you had to get the timing right to avoid the waves bashing you across the sharp coral and rocks.
So this is the second stop of Tour C, which is Secret Beach. You have to risk your life and limb to get to the Secret Beach, but it's all worth it when you get here and you can lie in your life jacket. Jazz has bruised her leg.
The next stop on the tour was a secret lagoon that could only be accessed by swimming through a naturally formed tunnel cut into the rock.
So mine and Jazz's mate has just said this one's called Secret Beach. So I don't know what the last one was.
They're all secret.
They're all Secret Beach. It is cool. Yeah, we had to swim through the little tunnel there, which was so cool. A little bit dangerous. The current is pulling you and then pushing you and then pulling you, so you have to get the timing completely bob on. But yeah, pretty cool. It's basically just a big lagoon with a tiny little beach, loads of sharp rocks around the edge, and some coral and fish.
We headed back through the tunnel and onto the boat where we drove to our lunch stop. We stopped at the Matinlock Shrine, a bizarre deserted Virgin Mary shrine with a very large white dome tucked in between the beach and cliffs. After our lunch, the boat made its final stop at a coral reef just across the water. This was one of the best reefs we got to see during our trip, and we even had a welcome visit from a curious turtle. Despite the seas getting even rougher on the way home, we finally made it back to the harbour and overall had another fantastic day which marked the end of our stay in El Nido. El Nido soon became one of our favourite places in the Philippines, but we left on a ferry for Coron, hoping it was equally good, if not better. The fast ferry to Coron takes roughly 4 hours, and after arriving we had a quick walk around the town before getting an early night. Good morning. Today it's another early morning. We've come to Coron, which is north of Palawan. We got a ferry here yesterday which took about 4 hours, probably a bit longer than it should have took. We're doing the ultimate tour today. We're only here for one full day because of our flights messing up last week, which is a shame. Coron is basically meant to be equally as beautiful as El Nido, if not better, and a little bit less sort of touristy. Although they're building quite a lot of hotels and you can tell that the tourism is actually catching up. The weather's a bit iffy today, a bit cloudy, but hopefully we won't get sunburned. So yeah, looking forward to it here in Coron.
Palawan.
Coron has a very similar landscape to El Nido, with dramatic lagoons, sharp cliffs and beautiful clear turquoise water. Our first stop was yet another beautiful hidden lagoon. This one could be accessed via a set of up and over stairs or underneath through a narrow tunnel.
Wow. I know, sticky on the way up. Not sure what this place is called, but it's pretty cool.
The place with the stairs where everyone has pictures.
The place with the stairs on Instagram, where everyone has pictures.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that's the official name, but it was a lovely place either way. Seeing groups of Chinese tourists being pulled by their Filipino guides was pretty hilarious. We noticed this throughout the Philippines, and especially in Coron where they were linked together. Surprisingly, a lot of Chinese people don't actually know how to swim.
Anyone for a lift?
We headed back on boat, and stop 2 was a sunken Japanese ship from World War II. There was also a coral reef, which was teeming with life, featuring thousands of fish and hundreds of sea urchins. The highlight of stop number 2 was getting a visit from the ice cream man.
Only in the Philippines will the ice cream man show up on a boat. Steve from Rooster, you ain't got nothing on this guy, mate.
We loved the fact that the ice cream men in the Philippines delivered via boat. Our next stop was the beautiful Canyangan Lake, known as Asia's cleanest and clearest lake. Reaching the lake requires a hike of 300 steps up and down, but it's completely worth it. Our last stop of the day was a large coral garden. We could have really spent hours snorkeling here. We had a whistle-stop tour in Coron, but we loved it just as much as the other islands in the Philippines. It was well and truly epic. Sadly, our 4 weeks in the Philippines came to an end. We flew to Manila, had a couple of days there before boarding our plane to Bali. It's impossible for us to pick our favourite island or country on this entire trip, but the place that comes to mind first is always the Philippines. It has everything, the friendliest people, the most incredible adventures, and it's all relatively cheap. We made some really special memories here, and it will be forever a country we're fond of. So, I'll leave you all with the word salamat, which in Tagalog, or Filipino, means thank you. There's only one more episode left, and perhaps we've saved the best until last. Please subscribe to our channel if you've got a YouTube account, and follow us on Instagram at Bangkok to Beijing. Let's take a look at what's coming up on episode 4. We flew to Bali, Indonesia for an action-packed trip beginning in the surf paradise of Seminyak.
Do not move.
We then headed to the cultural capital of Ubud, where I got into a spot of bother at the monkey forest.
Little pocket. Is there any?
We then visited some of the spectacular Balinese rice terraces. After a day exploring the northern regions of Bali, we caught a plane to Flores, Indonesia, the base for an epic adventure to Komodo Island. We saw incredible landscapes, pink beaches, and of course the endangered Komodo dragons. On a snorkeling stop near Komodo Island, we got the privilege of swimming with giant manta rays. We then spent a night on La Pirate Island, a desert island surrounded by glorious coral reef. Next we flew to Lombok and had a proper adventure as we hunted down the best waterfall in Asia. After a short ferry ride, we arrived at the paradise island of Gili T. home to plenty of turtles. We then moved on to the wild island of Nusa Penida before flying to Java, Indonesia, where we were up super early to witness sunrise at Mount Bromo, a highly active volcano. After a stop in Kuala Lumpur, we headed to China where Jazz met some of her long-time fans. In Beijing we experienced the Forbidden City and the Great Wall of China before our trip reached its end. So today it's day 133, which means sadly we're going home. No!